All right, we are live. The first episode of the Mike and Mario show. Excited to connect with my buddy from across the waters, Mario and Neko. How you doing, Mario?
I'm well, and you?
Doing good, my friend. Doing good. Just as I was saying beforehand, trying to put together graphics and creating currency is not easy on my side. So I'd imagine it has to be a difficult task on the banker side, but we could definitely get into that. So for those that are tuning in, welcome. Trying something new. I figure me and Mario always have a great time when we connect. So let's just make it official with the little Friday edition of the Mike and Mario show. So Mario, man, give me what's going on your side of the waters. How's the UK, buddy?
Well, we're slowly reopening, the economy. I think on the 17th of May, which is a Monday, the restaurants, you'll be able to actually go into restaurants or pubs to eat and drink. Right now, you can only go outside, but the weather's been so cold that it's not been that nice. And our economy, there's still a lot of people who have gotten used to getting paid for doing nothing and staying at home. The people who are on furlough, I think today showed that in the US, the same thing's happening because non-farm payroll was really low. Is expected almost a million new jobs, and it was only like 200 odd thousand. And even though here in the UK it's the same thing, we've been told as well that things are going to pick up. The Bank of England came out yesterday and revised their growth figures. They're telling us now, it's a lot of propaganda saying, oh, we're going to have the best economy in 70 years. But they don't tell you that we had the worst crash in 300 years imposed by the government, really. Over reaction by the government these last 14 months, instead of just trying to isolate the people that really are vulnerable, the elderly and those people who are ill, who have comorbidities, and letting the economy just go on as normal. And it's a shame because I think it's going to get a lot worse. We're not like spending as much as Sleepy Joe here because we don't have the reserve. We used to have the reserve currency about 100 years ago, but now it's not as easily done for the pound, for the Bank of England and the government to just print. So, and I think that's why the dollar is getting hammered a little bit, but the pound's going to get hammered too, relative to commodities. Commodities are going through the roof. And we have higher prices here too. Taxes are going up. So the cost of living is going up, but we're told by the government that inflation is running at less than 1% here. I ask myself, is that a weekly number instead of the annual number that they tell us? I think it's more weekly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, at this current moment, you cannot believe the figures that's being thrown out by any government because, of course, they're operating in their own best interest to make sure that they can pump the narrative of a recovery, but also keep their costs relatively low. And so I was talking the other day about how if they were to truly admit the costs or the level of inflation, then they themselves would have to add up more to their expenditures when it comes to all the subsidies to Social Security and all those programs and whatnot. So they're not going to ever do that. So why would we even begin trusting them people ever again? So yeah, man.
Now even the numbers today. I even suspect that it was on purpose that they came out with a weak number on purpose, because I've already seen headlines from Bloomberg saying that it might be easier now for Joe Biden to push through more stimulus because of these numbers. So you kind of wonder, they just tweak the numbers. Oh, there's not much support for the 6 trillion more that he wants to come out with. Let's just tweak the numbers a little lower, goose up the stock market because people now are thinking the Fed's not going to taper anymore. They're going to keep pumping. So it's a really sick game. I think it's going to end in tears. It's already pretty bad for the average, for the middle class. The people, some people at the bottom actually are doing okay because they're getting paid by the government. But I think it's the lower middle class that's getting squeezed.
Yeah, the working class, those that were able to work prior to, and those that the individuals that will be considered the middle class. And so I was once again watching something else, and of course over here the push for increasing taxes is becoming a subject matter that's on every news mainstream, it seems. But yet Biden made a point in saying that it'll be no new taxes. And so I'm thinking, like, was that a mistake, or was he actually hinting at the fact that so supposedly the middle class is not going to have to pay any extra? And then I even saw an article talking about there's a possibility of 0% of taxation. Something like what exactly are they doing? So clearly we're in the midst of what was always talked about, the MMT, the modern monetary theory, because they're borrowing and spending up to the wazoo, and now they're trying to collect some of that on the back end. So it's going to equal more of a disaster, definitely by next year for sure, if not more this year.
I saw Biden speaking, and I think it was a mistake because he said every American earning under $400,000 will have to pay no tax.
Yeah,
and I thought, oh, that's great.
Yeah,
I think he meant no newer taxes.
No newer taxes, right?
But the guy is so out of it that he doesn't know what he's talking about a lot of times.
Watch on that same note, like that next day, an article came out, and that was the article that I was referring to, where I guess as a part of this American Rescue Plan, there's going to be some shuffling of the taxation plan itself. Of course, whether it's going to go up supposedly for those over 400,000, and then assuming it's going to be adjusted or somehow or some way, because the way they wrote it up was saying that under this plan, because they were trying to sell the plan, so he's been doing last 2 or 3 days talking about the jobs plan and how it's going to be beneficial for the working class and stuff like that. So they're trying to sell it to the American public. And so if they sell it good enough, people will buy into it, and it might actually get passed or something like that. I don't know. But this is the second phase of his total package deal. And the question is, will it go through, and what will it look like? Because it doesn't make its way to Main Street, put like that. So we got a question here. Let's throw this on the screen real quick. It says, RTDQ, Mario, have you heard of the prices of goods looking in Switzerland? Have you heard of the prices of goods looking in Switzerland?
Oh, how prices are, if they're rising there?
Yeah.
I mean, usually Switzerland has pretty stable prices. But the thing about Switzerland is the standard of living there is so high that it's really expensive. But I haven't really kept in touch. I mean, I keep in touch with my family there, but haven't spoken about prices. But in the last 20-25 years, Switzerland, they've gone completely, unsound money. Like they use things used to be very stable there, even house prices, but they've had a huge property bubble. And I think the nice places in Switzerland are probably becoming more and more expensive because a lot of very wealthy people are doing well, and they're going there to live there. So yeah, it's crowding out. Switzerland is still a very expensive place, probably because it's a pretty well-run country compared to all other countries, actually.
Yeah, and it's always been a safe haven for the wealthy, so they've done a good job of protecting their own and property rights and whatnot. So I remember because when I lived there, years ago in Nyon, and at that time I was had a chance to talk to people, and the minimum wage I think at that time was $20 an hour or something like that. It was extremely high, and I'm thinking like, wow, that's living pretty good. But then I thought about the cost all around me. And even like in a little downtown area, everything was so expensive, man. It was just, I was like, okay, no wonder why the minimum wage is so high, because you need a lot more to live here, even modestly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and small business owners, they struggle there because the cost for employing people is so high. My sister, my brother-in-law run a hotel. They own a hotel, and they work hard, to keep it going. And it's a really nice hotel as well. And you'd think they make a lot more profit, but the employing people is very expensive, but people have a very good standard of living. I saw an article the other day on Zero Hedge that people at is it American dollar discount store or something
Mhm.
in the States, people just walked out because they said that the wages that they're getting doesn't pay for them to live, and they're working long hours. So you don't have that in Switzerland. It's the lowest paying job is a job where you can afford, you get holidays every year, you can travel
Mhm.
abroad. It's a very high standard of living. Probably not as much opportunity for small businesses, but everyone's pretty comfortable,
Mhm.
I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Now, so once again, for those tuning in, feel free. And so that once again, this is just a open forum. I want to get everybody involved, and so feel free to ask questions. Or eventually, Mario, if you want, we can open up a phone line and get some actual voices out there, because that always brings a lot of curiosity as to what you're going to hear on the other line. But so in the chat here, I see some interesting thoughts that I'll just throw out there, and we can share our thoughts on it. And so I know, Mario, I know you're a big crypto bug. And I know you sold all your gold and silver for crypto, so I want to just messing with you. But it says,
I was like,
just messing with you. But here's Dr. Mo that says, crypto is the only hope for future. Gold and silver is dead in this reality. How would you respond to that, Mr. Mario?
well, I guess it's a question, really. He's not saying that it's true because he's got question mark at the end there. I don't think crypto is the only hope. I think gold and silver are still going to prove a lot of people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying crypto is a bad thing, because I actually, I have been involved. You know, I publish all my videos every day onto Steemit, Hive, LBRY, BitChute, DTube. And these altcoins, they're not worth 50 or 60,000 like Bitcoin. But for example, the Steem dollar coin has gone from $1 to $8. So even though I don't get too many viewers there, I'm earning these cryptocurrencies, and I think that's a good thing, because they have a function. Steemit, it's like a platform, and it's blockchain based.
Yeah.
But I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to get suckered into just Bitcoin because it's the most famous one.
Yeah.
And while there's a lot of opportunities elsewhere, of course, there's a lot of risk as well, because some of these coins will end up worthless. But the other thing that's a little concerning is that I saw that Goldman Sachs came out today, and they've announced that they've opened a cryptocurrency desk. So whenever Goldman Sachs gets involved into a market, you need to beware.
Yeah, really. I think it's all a part of the setup, man. I think we're entering into that next phase of this digital transition, to where once the too big to fail banks get involved, that's definitely a game changer, and it will not end in a nice way for those that were a part of the initial movement of peer-to-peer transactions. That's what we the people wanted. Now it's turning into, like, Bitcoin is considered a store of value. Like, I don't think that was ever part of the initial plan. It was meant to be used. So it's
I remember
into something else.
Yeah, I remember people. The reason behind it was that it was going to circumvent the banks. You wouldn't have to pay charges for transferring money. It would be quick. But nowadays, it costs so much to transfer Bitcoin.
Right.
It's really slow. And the other thing as well is that some people argue that the NSA was involved in cryptos in the 90s, and that this could be all. And it could, because what's happened, Goldman Sachs, all the mainstream is getting involved now, and the infrastructure has been built by the public for them. They haven't had to spend a dime. Of course, the coins are a lot more expensive now. But the other thing I would say, one of the major reasons behind cryptocurrencies and the blockchain and the open ledger is trust. They're trying to solve the problem of I think it was the Byzantine's general dilemma,
The double spin. Yeah.
double spend. But the thing is, I think the world needs more trust. And the reason we don't trust people as much anymore is because we can't even trust government.
Yeah.
And I think we can't keep going as a civilization if we don't trust each other. Of course, you can't trust everyone. So to take out privacy and with crypto, because cryptocurrencies really, everyone can see, what you have and what you do.
Yeah.
And in a way, that's not a bad thing. But I think we need privacy in the world. I think it was Doug Casey who said that without privacy, you create a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think that the trust issue, it sounds good on the surface because it's we the people demanding trust from the governments that's been the ones manipulating everybody and just completely doing whatever they want to do behind closed doors. And so I think it's more so at this point, people have accepted that word trust and transparency because that's how we want to operate, but not realizing that now that the banks are involved and the CBDCs are coming, there'll be no trust. There'll be no transparency on their end, but yet they expect us to get used to that until they change the rules of the game. And speaking of which, my stance has always been that the whole digital revolution was a part of the initial setup. Even when you go back to the Economist cover in 1998, when it said the Phoenix is coming, and it said 2018-ish, which was 30 years later. And so that right there lets me know that there were some key players behind this. And I think Bitcoin is a part of that. And even people in the community has talked about NSA, and I got people who've given me names and documents and how the patent it was filed in 1988. And so stuff where it's legitimate information is out there, but people don't seem to really care about that. And then also, I'm ranting a little bit, but the initial wallet of Satoshi Nakamoto, I think has a large amount of Bitcoin still parked in it, which hasn't been touched in quite some time. So technically speaking, whoever that wallet belongs to will be one of the wealthiest individuals on the planet as well. And I suspect that it would probably be related back to the Rothschilds. That's just my guess.
Yeah,
because it just seems like it'll work timely in this whole situation.
And I would say the Rockefellers as well. And why do I say that? Well, there's like a writer, George Gilder. He's written many books about technology.
Yeah.
Is it George Gilder? His name? Let's see.
So
I don't think.
We might be forced to take a call in a minute. So
okay. His name's George Gilder, for example, and he wrote something in Forbes magazine, very good about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, praising it. He was behind a lot of the .com bubble thing in the 90s as well. And then I looked him up on Wikipedia, and I saw that his father died during the war. He was taken under the wings of David Rockefeller, because David Rockefeller and his father went to school together. So here you have, I guess you could say it's like almost his father. David Rockefeller was almost like his father because his father died during the war. Yeah. And David Rockefeller took him under the wings. And so, yeah, there is, like you said, I don't like the fact that we don't know who created the white paper for Bitcoin, even though it's a good white paper, but who did it?
Yeah, and that's it's no way, and I will stick to this because I believe that in my gut, 5-10 years from now, I'll be able to say I told you so, because it'll be no way to pull off a global reset, a monetary reset, without there being some type of carrot dangled in between to allow this to happen, because the goal is to make sure gold and silver never gets mainstream attention to where the world runs to it as a safe haven as they transition. So it's inevitable that we're going digital because of technology and stuff like that. But it's like, I think this is a controlled, orchestrated event. And reason I mentioned the Economist cover is because of this little, somebody shared this yesterday with me. And I'm going to take that call. We'll give you 1 second. But here is something that I think is worth talking about. So this is the Economist cover that's not even out yet. It comes out on the 8th. So tomorrow this comes out, and it says the digital currencies that matter. It says, get ready for Fed coin and the e-euro. So whoever, whoever the reporter, who is this? So the artwork is done by Luca de Urbino, but whoever wrote this, they wrote this from the standpoint of confidence and like, this is what we have already scripted out. Get ready for it. And then what makes this important to me is that it has the all-seeing eye to the far right, and it has the temple, which governmental structure, and then there's a chip. If you see right inside that G, there's a chip right there, and that chip to me is symbolism for chip in the world type of thing. You'll have to go through the chip, and so it says government issued digital currency. This is, I guess, the most important. So I think it's it's coming full circle. What would you say?
Yeah, and you can see there they put in tech we trust instead of in God we trust.
Right.
We're supposed, and it looks like a gold coin as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Which is like a lot of the Bitcoin graphics. It's like a gold coin.
Mm-hmm.
So it just goes to show you that without gold, there is nothing really. I would say,
right.
I wouldn't trust this government issued digital currency.
Yeah.
As I don't trust what they issue now, I won't trust what they issue digitally like that.
Yeah. Just think about the framework of how this rebranding of centrally controlled currencies what it'll look like. And so ultimately, I think as a part of the cashless society, and also a question to you is, do you think we're eventually going to go negative with the reserve currency to where that'll be their way of removing the dollar bills out of our possession to then issue a central bank digital currency? And then with that comes all the tiers of lack of privacy, programmability, which means that they can see how, where, when you send it and to who, and all those control mechanisms, because it just lines up perfectly for where I think they want to take us. What would you say?
Yeah, I agree with that. And the thing is, the people who are in the crypto world now, maybe 5-10 years ago, there were people who wanted nothing to do with government and Wall Street. They wanted to go against the bankers and everything, but they've been basically bought out. We'll probably get a lot of hate for that. They've been bought out because the price is so high now. So they don't care if Goldman Sachs is involved. They don't care if there's derivatives on cryptocurrencies, which I think is a bad thing. They don't care if there's leverage. So the whole grassroots populist idea of cryptocurrencies, blockchain, that's gone out the window. And I like you said, I think it's going to be hijacked by the bankers.
Yeah.
Just like they hijacked gold and silver, really, because money and currency came before government. People devised that in the free market through trial and error. And the same thing for, I guess, cryptocurrencies. You could maybe argue there was a bit of a push from sources we don't know, but it was all very organic, the growth here that we've seen. But now it looks like they're going to hijack it again, and they're going to ride on the back of it, unfortunately.
And the more I look at this revolutionary, technology that's being ushered into us, and where it originally started in comparison to where it's at now, it's turning into what I would consider a working man's or a poor man's lottery ticket, because it's so much for those that have been in early. Now I think it's more so about greed. And for those that feel like they missed the party, it's that like, I don't want to miss out next time, so let me jump into anything. And so anything in the top 100 has a chance of doing pretty well, because there's still millions of billions of people who have no exposure to it. So they're going to take anything they get and just dump it in there. And then, like always, there's going to be a day of reckoning, like there always is, to where those that got in early will benefit and those that got in late will be hurt. And then we'll repeat the cycle over and over again. And so a lot of people are saying that this next market crash is coming whenever it comes. Equity's going to drop. Everything's going to drop. Prices will drop. Crypto's going to drop. And then what? And that's where I'm thinking, like, it's not going to be the end, because the Federal Reserve and central banks are still going to be in the reserve currency creating business. So it's going to recover, and we can see all-time highs. But then what value does that really have if inflation is through the roof? And so it's like it's starting to not make any sense to me, really, on the surface.
Yeah, and I think right now there's a lot of froth. It's like feels very it the symptoms are like what you had in Weimar Germany, or even in France in the 1790s when they had the assignats. There's a lot
Yeah.
of gambling speculation uh, uh, because the economy was so bad. And I
Mhm.
think the economy is still really bad, not just in the US, but here as well, that it doesn't pay for people to get an honest job.
Yeah.
The standard of living keeps going down, cost of living keeps going up. So, and you provide people with this de facto universal basic income stimulus check, and they're going to go and gamble with it. And what better place than cryptos and altcoins, where
Yeah.
you can buy Dogecoin, which was supposed to be a joke,
Yeah.
and it's now worth more than Ford Motor Company or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really ridiculous. I think a lot of people are going to get hurt, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And ain't that something? Like, you mentioned Ford Motor Company, so I'm in the Motor City, so I'm
yeah,
witnessing, because of this chip shortage. There's Ford, GM, Chrysler, everything's off I-75, technically speaking, and then there's so many vehicles that's backed up that they're using parking lots from malls to store all these vehicles. And I'm thinking, like, if there's a chip shortage, that's an example of issues that's happening, whether or not. And so here's another question I want to throw to you as well, because some people say that a lot of the raw material goods and services are being bought up by China in the East, but then a lot of the stuff is being hoarded to where it's just not being let go, therefore creating an artificial price spike of a lot of things. But then what my point was, the Dogecoin produces nothing of value whatsoever. It's just there. Well, we got Ford Motor Company now that produces trucks and large trucks, cars, and everything else. And them cars and trucks are just sitting because of the disconnect in economy and financial system or whatnot. So complete nonsense. The world's turned upside down, man. Yeah.
yeah. That's what happens when you have hyperinflation, and these are the symptoms. Everything's screwed up. You look at lumber prices; we're making all-time highs today. Copper prices are making all-time highs
Mhm.
today. And I've seen a few videos, you've probably seen it, that lumber yards are still have loads of lumber.
Yeah.
But that happens because people who produce things that are valuable, they don't want to let it go because they know there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And I heard that used car prices have gone up more than the S&P in the
Mhm.
last 12 months because people can't buy the new cars. As per the rare earth metals,
Mhm.
like the strategic metals, the problem has been, I think, I know a little bit about it, is that China's been the only country that has gone out and explored these rare earth metals. They've
Mhm.
mined it. So China has got like a monopoly on the rare earths, but
Yeah.
they didn't do it to screw the West. It's just
Yeah.
that the West didn't think about maybe pushing people to explore rare earth metals.
Yeah.
So now in the UK, it's a little bit late, but the government said the other day that they want to push companies to explore rare earths in the UK, like lithium,
Mhm.
Cornwall, because we've been too dependent on China. But it's not China's fault. It's our fault,
Yeah.
the West,
Yeah.
because we've had all these environmental regulations. We've been against mining and things like that. And
Mhm.
the Chinese haven't.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think it all boils back to production, especially Michigan in particular. Like, once again, for those that have been here in the industrial area sectors where Ford used to be, and all those warehouses, they're vacant, they're empty, they're ran down because manufacturing was moved because of the idea of cheaper cost, cheaper labor, this whatever. And that's a part of the whole globalization push that's been underway for decades now, that has caused these distortions to where everything is
yeah.
made over there for pennies on a dollar, and over here, in order to make something, you got to charge that much more because of the higher standards of living, therefore equal higher wages, like $35-$40 to work on an assembly line. It's not sustainable for the long
Yeah.
run. So
And even the things that you make in the US or in the UK, a lot of the inputs, raw materials and inputs come from different places because it's this just-in-time inventory. And what we found out now in the last 14 months, because of the lockdowns and the shutting of borders and trade, is that it screwed up the whole industrial system. And that's probably why the car companies in Detroit can't get the parts because everything's backlogged. A lot of the containers have been like there's not enough containers. Ships are where they're not supposed to be. It's a mess, and maybe that could be a good thing because that maybe the U.S., the U.K., and other countries will move towards becoming a little more self-sufficient, not depending so much on China and globalization. But we're going to suffer in the transition.
Yeah, it's gonna be some pain. Another thing is, basically just becoming more self-sustaining, self-sufficient as a nation because China. So I was talking to someone who's mentioned about how Australia and China were always buddy with their trade deals, but now it's a complete influx. They're basically at a financial verbal war to where they're not doing business like that no more. So Australia is going to be forced to bring stuff home and do it themselves. Same way here in America, if this current administration allows it to happen, which I don't see it happening that way. But Mexico, I was talking to somebody yesterday and they said Mexico, every car that's pretty much sold in the U.S. is originally assembled in Mexico. And even Ford is building a $1 billion battery facility in Mexico to then, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a disconnect. So, but for those tuning in, feel free to ask questions. And we missed a couple of phone calls, Mario. So I'm gonna open the phone lines and we'll just take some phone calls and have some more fun with it. And so here's a little thought here. It says, can you find chicken wings in London? We're supposed to have a chicken shortage on this side. So
yeah, I mean, I ordered a few weeks ago. We had some Kentucky Fried Chicken. No, I don't think there's any problems with chicken wings. Maybe I should ship it to the U.S. But
and so somebody here says, spoke with a builder yesterday who said cement has been limited within his trade in the UK. So I'm not sure. Any word on that or familiar with that at all?
I'm not. I don't really know many builders, but I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen around where I live during the lockdowns, everyone doing home improvement. I think, so it's normal. And house prices have gone up as well. And when that happens, people want to improve their homes because it's a valuable asset.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't heard specifically about cement.
So,
but I wouldn't be surprised though.
As I'm looking at just the price of metals right now, and look at the gyrations here within a very short time frame of what's happening in the metals market. Like that right there it's not normal whatsoever to just drop in. It just look at this, man. It's crazy.
Well, what happened there was the non-farm number came out and gold went up from around 1820 to like 1840, and now it's been chopping around between 40 and 30, but it's still doing really well because I think we broke through 1800 yesterday, and I think it's going to be hard to keep gold down now, even though some would argue this is just a paper price, but it does help if the paper price goes up as well.
Yeah. Well, now what's the premiums looking like? What's the premiums looking like in the UK? Where
for gold, it's anywhere between 4 to 7%. For silver is a lot higher. It's like at least 20%, sometimes even 50%.
Yeah. So like I was asked a question yesterday. What are my thoughts on predictions for the end of this year with gold and silver, or silver in particular? And of course, a lot of commentators saying that, it could easily, be $50 or more or whatnot. I'm thinking like, well, depending on how you assess it, like the spot price might continue to stay relatively calm because there's a concerted effort to keep it below 30, obviously. But yet the premiums itself could probably double to where, like, I'm looking online to some retailers for a Silver Eagle, it's already $41 using a credit card. So I'm like, that's basically $10, $15 more than your spot price. So I can see the spot price doubling to where we'll be at 50 for online purchases, but yet your local coin shops might be cheaper because you have relationships with them. But
yeah,
it'll be different ways of determining the price of an ounce by the end of this year if they still are able to maintain this current high
yeah.
20 range.
I think people need to keep buying physical, avoid ETFs, maybe not PSLV. That's fine, but because the COMEX and the spot price, the cash market is traded amongst the banks. It's called the interbank. It's traded like foreign exchange, gold and silver. And I have to say that market where the bankers set the price is becoming totally irrelevant. It's not. I mean, the real price for gold and silver, even the former director of the U.S. Mint said that the real price for gold is for a gold eagle is $2,000 to $2,100. He said the spot price or the futures price has no basis in reality. So
yeah.
All
right. So watch this. So real quick, we do have a call. Let's see what's going on. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you're calling from?
Mike, Ehab from New Jersey, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, my friend. What's up with you? What's your thoughts, or share a quick question with us?
Listen, man. Look, I got about no lie, and I'm gonna get on your Bitcoin page and show you the picture. I got about 1,000 ounces of silver, a couple ounces of gold, right?
Okay.
And it still feels like it's not enough. You know, the way this country's going, everywhere it's going, it's not enough, man.
Yeah.
Keep getting your weight up, people, as you say. Thank you guys both for your great content, man. Happy Friday, both of you.
Thank you, my friend. Thanks for calling and sharing that.
Thank you.
So here's something as well. Like when it comes to the question of how much, like there is no. I mean, of course, is there such thing as having too much or having enough? Because I consider it the same way as like with your current bank statement. Like you can never have too much. Of course, you need enough to take care of yourself and whatever. But there is no such thing as too much. Is there, Mario?
Gold or silver?
Yeah.
Oh no, I think they're the only things that don't have the law of diminishing marginal returns don't apply to gold, and that's why it's money. I mean, you can never have enough gold. Of course, you need to live your life. It's not all about money, and greed is not good, but I like to have a lot more gold and silver than I do, of course. And they are money, and I don't think we should worry too much. I'm not too excited about the price move right now, even though we've broken through 1800, because I try not to get too down about when it goes down. Just try to stay level-headed, just to not to change,
I look at it as in this current world where NFTs, non-fungible tokens, are taking over, and this whole digital transition we're being ushered into. What's stable, what's real, and literally, like I made a video talking about what's your weight, like in reference to the whole what's your number when it comes to your retirement, what dollar amount do you need to live comfortably, live happily ever after. And I'm thinking like, well, with the way they're creating all these reserves and current notes and stimulus and QE, a number is dangerous. How about a weight instead? Like, what's your weight?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and that's right. I don't think $10,000 might be almost nothing in 5-10 years time.
Right.
It's like I remember going to Italy on business in the 90s, before they had the euro. 10,000 lira was not much money. You could buy a sandwich and a Coke, So I think we're going that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, but weight
is different. Yeah, because you keep your purchasing power with the gold and silver.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, if you had 10,000 ounces on the other end, you got something stable, reliable, trustworthy. And then when it's denominated in whatever currency that might be rolled out, to CBDC or whatever nation you're in, then the purchasing power from that will just be probably through the roof, give or take the time frame. So somebody said, what happened with the Brexit? What's going on with Brexit?
Well, it's been implemented. We're out of the European Union now. So
yeah. So what's been a ripple effect from that? Like what has anything been obviously different since then, or what?
Well, the biggest thing has been the lockdowns, really.
Yeah.
You know, this so-called pandemic has overshadowed everything.
Yeah.
But I haven't really noticed much change from Brexit. We might need to show your passport now when you travel to Europe, you know, to France or Germany. Before that, you just went through EU passport lane.
Yeah.
But we haven't been able to travel anyway because of the pandemic. So
yeah, and
there is a few disruptions. Like lately, there's Channel Islands is part of the. It's like a crown. It's not part of the UK, but it's a crown dependency.
Yes. 1 second. Go ahead.
What was that?
So we have a call here. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike, Mario, how you guys doing?
Doing good, my friend. Who are we speaking with?
This is low blood pressure, Corpus Christi.
LBP, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Yeah.
Good. I have a question for Mario.
Go ahead.
All right, I wanted to ask him, after this hyperinflation that's already here, does he believe that we'll go to another fiat, like paper currency, or does he think it's all going to be digital? Because he had a gentleman on his program talking about a new Euro 2.0.
The gold,
like
yeah.
He was explaining that ate all the inflation of the lira and all the European, all the European currencies. Does he think that this new digital thing is going to eat up all the dollar inflation? I'll get off air and I'll listen to you guys.
Good deal. Thanks for the call, LBP.
Yeah, basically, he didn't really say, you know, he used the euro as an example. So what he thinks is going to happen is that they're going to just merge, you know, the dollar, the euro, the pound, the yen, after they hyperinflate, and package it together through the IMF. And the reason they're going to do that is the IMF has a clean balance sheet, but he thinks they're going to have to back it with at least 20% gold. And you know, when you have a hyperinflationary collapse, you have to bring something better than fiat currency to the game, you know. Yeah. And so I think gold is going to be very important after the collapse. Yeah, it's always what people revert to, what countries and governments revert to gold after, you know, in the third world, emerging markets, we've had a lot of hyperinflations in Argentina, Brazil, and Zimbabwe. They revert usually to the dollar because the dollar is seen over there as a solid currency. They haven't done it to gold because the dollar is still top dog. But when the dollar goes, there's only one money that people will trust, and that's gold.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah. I think it's kind of baked into the cake because of Russia's and China's accumulation over the last 20 years that I've been actually trying to watch and see graphs. And of course, the actual full amount that they are sitting on is unknown. But I'd imagine they're not collecting all that gold for no reason. Like whatever.
Well, and I think they know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, these people, they seem to be our enemies, but they play for the same. They play, you know, they're on the same team.
Yeah.
So they probably have been warned by the West, you know, get gold because we're going to bring the system down.
Yeah.
And, you know, some people say China's got 20,000 metric tons. Even though officially they say they only have 2,000, but it's probably more like 20,000. US supposedly has 8,300 or something.
Yeah, if you believe that. Let's take this call here because I sure don't believe it. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's again. I forgot to ask a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Whatever currency we're using in a couple of years when this is all over. Now, how's silver going to play into this? We know the importance of gold. Now, would you say silver will be similar to the importance of gold? As in, you could trade in your silver, for example, for, you know, the currency to keep the balance. How would that go? Because I'm not fully getting an understanding. I apologize, guys.
Hey, no problem. I'll share my 2 cents. Mario will share his as well. Thanks for the call. Thanks for the question.
Yes, sir.
All right. You can have it, Mario. Go ahead. I'll stab at it.
Yeah. Silver, I mean, you can still exchange silver now for a fiat currency. If there's a new currency, silver, I think, will always be accepted. So
Mhm.
will gold.
Mhm.
I think, yeah, silver has been manipulated for a lot longer than gold. Some people argue it's been manipulated since the 1870s,
Mhm.
when you had the great crime. It was 1873, I think.
73, yeah.
Yeah. So I think silver has a lot of potential.
Mhm.
Some people also argue, like Keith Newmeyer of First Majestic, that there's only 7 times more gold in the ground than silver. So yeah, I think silver will do well. Whether they back the currency, a new world currency, or a new dollar with silver, I don't know. They could have a bimetallic system. Who knows?
Yeah. I would say, you know, my what I would be willing to bank on is that, you know, when it comes to international settlement, it'll be something probably attached to a basket. And of course, gold will be probably a big player in that to establish trust if everything comes crumbling down. But domestically, for the citizens, if they're able to pull off this digital transition, their goal would be for us to have QR codes and apps on our phones for the CBDCs in each nation. So someone even talked about, you know, how UK is talking about the Britcoin. They're working on it. It might be your way. You'll probably have the Britcoin faster than I have Fedcoin, just because it seems like every nation around us gets the test run first, and then it comes to the reserve currency last. And so at that point, I wouldn't feel comfortable trading in something real and tangible, gold, silver, for a digital illusion that will be probably tracked, traced, and monitored, because they'll be able to see who you did business with, I think. And that's a way of them keeping tabs on what you're doing business with and in. So I think as far as probably using smaller, you know, like, you know, 1 gram type of things, or smaller increments of silver and gold will be worthwhile for bartering sake, or paper usage, because I think that still will be in play for quite some time before, you know, my kids, of course, will not have paper whatsoever. But I think paper still be around, you know, next couple years or so, but it won't be heavily used. So, but I don't think they want to have any type of freedom whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be like during the Bretton Woods system, you know, indirectly all the currencies were backed by gold. And you see, use, you know, the French franc banknotes and everything. And I think it will be the same now. We're not going to be using like gold or silver, but they're going to back even the digital currencies. I think they'll have to back it with gold. They'll have to have, you know, the central banks will have to and trade amongst countries will have to be settled through gold. They won't be able to do it through just a digital currency anymore. Or because then you build out, if you let people just print digital currencies as much as they want or create, you're going to create trade imbalances. Because you look before Bretton Woods collapsed in 71, very few countries had trade deficits. Everyone had a balanced trade. There was not much surplus or deficit. So
it was stable. They're able to be stable. So watch this. Moving forward with the CBDCs, one thing that will not be transparent or stable will be the quantity of the Britcoin or the Fedcoin. They're not going to cap it at 1 billion units and have it publicly visible for you to verify it. That's for sure. So it's going to be a rebrand of what we have now, but less control by us and more control by them, because we'll be literally stuck in that system, and all of activity will come through a phone, man. So that right there does not excite me at all.
No, they're not going to cap it at 21 million like Bitcoin.
That's true, man. All right, so Mario, we're approaching our 50-minute mark, man. As always, this was a fun go round for the Mike and Mario show. I appreciate you joining us, man. So for those tuning in, you know, hopefully, Mario, if you're wanting to, we can do this again next week or something like that, just to connect and just take calls, take questions, whatever. So if you're available, I'm available. Let's make it happen. So, guys, if you've enjoyed this, hit a thumbs up. Definitely, if you're new to the channel, go check out Manico64 on YouTube. Always do great work every day and a wealth of knowledge. So, once again, Mario, any thoughts? You know, you can sign off. You can sign us off. Feel free to have at it.
Thoughts? Yeah, just be aware that whenever you have like a reset or a new currency, that you're going to get shortchanged. It's just like when they created the euro in 98 or 99. After that, people in Europe are saying, how come everything is so much more expensive? So, yeah, just be aware of that. and hold on to your gold and silver. Keep stacking. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Yeah, as I say, get your weight up. Everybody be blessed, be safe, and check out Manico64 on YouTube. And other than that, looking forward to doing this again. I had fun, Mario, so appreciate you for taking time to bless us with your presence on a Mike and Mario show.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it as well.
All right, everybody. See you guys later. Peace.